In this lesson, we're going to focus on solving multi-step equations. Sometimes you need to simplify a problem before it can be solved. So take this problem, for example. Definitely has a lot going on, and again, we're going to need to simplify it before we can solve it. Here are some clues to know you need to simplify. You know an equation needs to be simplified if there are parentheses. So as you can see, we have parentheses on the left side and the right side of the equation. Both of those would need to be simplified before we can solve. You also know an equation needs to be simplified if there are like terms. So in this example, we have 2x, 4x, and an x. Whenever you have like terms, you need to simplify before you can solve. So let's start off with section 1, where we're going to focus on variables that are on the same side of the equal sign. Example 1. The first step we always do when solving is draw a line down the equal sign so that we know we have two separate sides we're working on. Next, we're going to look for clues if it needs to be simplified. The first clue, are there parentheses? No. Second clue, are there like terms? Yes. Hopefully you saw that positive 3x and positive 2x are like terms because they both have the same variable x. We're going to need to simplify that, and we simplify like terms on the same side of the equal sign by combining. So I want you to remember, same side, combine. So 3x plus 2x is going to make 5x. And we're going to go ahead and drop everything else in the problem down. Minus 4 equals 36. Now we have a simplified problem that can be solved using inverse operations. Go ahead and solve the rest of this problem. Our next step would be to focus on what's being added or subtracted, which is this minus 4. So we're going to get rid of it by adding 4 to both sides of the equation. That's going to cancel and leave us with 5x equals 40. Our last step is to get rid of the 5 coefficient, which is multiplying x. Remember, anything that's touching is multiplying. By the inverse operation of dividing by 5, what we do to one side, we must do to the other. And that's going to give us the answer of x equals 8. Remember, there's a built-in checker by substituting our answer in for our variables to the original equation. As we can see, we get 36 equals 36 when we substitute in 8, and that's how we know our 8 is a correct answer. Pause the video now, take a look. We are going to simplify this. What do you think is our first step in simplifying? What we can see is we have a line down the equal sign that helps us organize our work, and we're going to check for parentheses. We don't have any, so then we check for like terms. This one's a little more complex because we do have a like term in our x's. What are those going to combine to make? You're going to end up with 9x. And notice when I drop everything else down, I actually still have more terms to combine. We also have our constants. Those are the numbers without a variable that need to be combined. So we have our positive 9 and our positive 5, which when combined together are going to make positive 14. And of course, we drop everything else down. Go ahead and solve the problem from here. So we're going to subtract 14 on both sides. We always start with what's being added or subtracted. We end up with 9x equals negative 49 minus 14 equals negative 63. And our last step to finish the problem is to divide both sides by 9, which gives us the answer of x equals a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 63 divided by 9 is 7. Don't forget to check your work by plugging in negative 7 everywhere we have an x. Evaluating our equation, we get negative 49 equals negative 49, which is true, so we know negative 7 is a correct answer. Try out example 3. So this one was a little different. line down the equal sign. Remember that first clue we look for is always, are there parentheses? What parentheses tells us is the number out front that's touching the parentheses is multiplying, which is known as distribution. So we're going to go ahead and distribute to get rid of the parentheses. So 5 times x is 5x. Positive 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Everything else is going to drop down. Next, we want to check to see if we have like terms. We're going to combine 3x and positive 5x, and they're going to be on the same side of the equal sign, same side combine, to 8x. We drop everything else down. Finish solving the problem. We end up with adding 10 to both sides. 8x equals 24. Our last step is to get rid of the 8 by dividing both sides by 8. And we get x equals 3. We're going to check our work by plugging in 3 everywhere we have an x. We evaluate, we get 14 equals 14, which is true, so we know 3 must be the correct answer. You've completed the lesson notes for this section, so go ahead and complete the practice problems to check your understanding. Thanks for being awesome.